All right, there we are. Let me go find the YouTube link. What are you guys eating for dinner?
I think we're going to have Sunnies tonight.
Nice.
Feels like a Sunnies night.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what even day it is. It feels all weird to me.
Yeah, it's real odd. I can't eat Sunnies. I know it's probably better up in Tallahassee just because of the proximity to the original Sunnies.
Right.
It just feels like home because when I was up there in South Bend for those 4 years, I didn't get any Sunnies.
So, but only when you came home.
Yep, only when I came home.
We got to get Sunnies on the sponsorship.
Sunnies was going to actually help us out with the fishing event. But as it turned out, we're replanning and kind of restructuring the fishing event for the summer.
Okay, good. So we'll talk about that.
Yep.
All right.
Had a little crisis while I was studying over the past week too.
What happened?
My laptop died, just completely conked out. A MacBook.
That's never good.
Yeah, I mean, I had the MacBook.
It wouldn't come back on?
Yeah, I had the MacBook since 2016, maybe 2015. I never dropped it, never did anything wrong to it, never even put a case on it. It's still perfect, in mint condition. I had all the way throughout my time up north, and then I brought it down here. Been working very well, but for some reason it wouldn't accept the new update and ended up just not turning back on. So I tried to bring it to an Apple store, tried to talk it through the process, but just for the meantime, right now I'm borrowing a laptop.
That's great.
To get through final exams. It was just a whole mess, though. Not fun. I'm probably just going to try to go get a new laptop because of the technology these days and the amount that I have stored on that current laptop.
How old is it?
It's like a 2015, 2016-ish.
Mine, I got I go with the Mac Air.
Yep.
And those last me like 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I just go get a new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
start to slow down a lot. That's what I figured I'd probably just have to do. But
I've had like 3 of them at this point.
Yeah. That'd be nice though. So you don't have to erase the laptop.
Do you have the Pro or the MacBook
I have a MacBook Pro, but it has low storage in it. It was one of those, I don't know. It's like a high school deal they do at Best Buy or something like that. I got way back then. My parents let me get one because I needed one when I transferred to Clearwater Central Catholic back in the day.
Yeah. Mine used to. I like the Apple more than the other ones, but they all go slow after 3 years. They get
Yeah, I have a Lenovo ThinkPad that I use for most of my financy type stuff, right? Just because it has all the function keys in plain sight, and it's a lot, more user friendly as far as Excel and the whole Adobe suite goes. But I just, again, it's been tough. Just the Lenovo's nice, just for Microsoft Suite and everything like that, but I have to use a MacBook when I'm doing, productivity things, especially when you're talking about Big Man, Big Heart and all the emails and the text and everything goes back and forth. It's just a lot easier to, compartmentalize your life and have everything organized.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, let's, you ready?
Let's get into it, brother.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Big Man, Big Heart with Dillan Gibbons. I'm your host, Josh Newberg. This is episode 27. We are coming to you live on a Thursday evening. We're live on YouTube right now. Shout out to you guys if you're watching, and also shout out to all our podcast listeners on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen. We took a break last week. Dylan, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm back home in sunny St. Petersburg, Florida. Just doing my best, hang out with the family. Right now I'm actually transitioning between, apartments and living situation in Tallahassee. That's another story. But overall, I'm doing great. Been training at Clearwater Central Catholic High School. That's a high school I graduated from back in 2017. Chris Harvey's doing some wonderful things with the team. They've recently been sponsored by Jordan Brand, which is absolutely incredible. They put in a brand new turf field, I guess, a few months ago. If you have a kid or even a loved one around this area and you're not sending them to CCC, then you're doing something wrong. Beautiful brand new football facility. Some wonderful, different things for other athletics and other sports. But their gym is a great place to train. Been over there a few times this week in between getting treatment and other things like that. But overall, been a great time being home. I'm studying my butt off still. I got one more final exam here tomorrow evening, but I'm looking forward to the rest of this break.
It looks like you got a great setup. Why don't you explain to the people why they hear seagulls in the background?
Oh yeah, we're right here. My parents have a house on the water. We keep our little boat on the lift out here, and I have full access to fishing 24/7. We haven't always been that blessed as a family, but to be able to have those resources is absolutely incredible. To be able to jump on the boat, go fly fish with my brother, some live bait, or just bring out some spinning rods and going and having a ball. But yeah, we've been doing a lot of fishing lately, a lot of hanging out. But yeah, these seagulls are pretty noisy.
Just on cue. What have you been fishing for? Have you caught anything? I know you said you went with your brother a little bit.
Yeah, so I need some advice. If anyone's listening to the podcast, me and my brother have been getting into fly fishing. My brother's the kind of person, he's a young attorney. So kind of, he fits that stereotype. He's always buying, really nice fishing tackle, good equipment and things like that. I'm definitely going to show that on the Big Man Big Heart TikTok at some point. But yeah, he's been buying, some fly fishing stuff. And, back in the day, I was the kind of little kid that was very obsessive about, very niche, using your hands to create things and, the basics of fishing. So I love fly fishing. I love the concept around it. I tried to fly fish off my dock a bunch when I was a little kid, ended up snapping some fairly expensive fly fishing rods, but I used to tie my own flies. My brother really never picked up, fly fishing, never really got that interested in it until, a few months ago. We started looking into it a little bit more, figured out some of the basics and some of the fish, things that we couldn't have necessarily gone after with a standard conventional tackle. And he's been getting more into it. So right now we've been targeting, trout, snook. He has I'll explain this too. He just bought a duplex a few months ago. So if anyone's interested in spending a few nights down here, or even a few months down here in the St. Pete, Madeira Beach area, please just hit me up. I'll send you his way. But bottom line, the duplex behind it has this great big dock, right? And off the dock are these underwater lights. And I've been fishing underwater lights my whole life, but it's unlike anything I've ever seen. There's probably 40 or 50 snook in them every night. They stack up like logs. They look like, underwater structure at night. It's crazy. So I fished those every night I've been home so far, and we've caught, 5 or 6 snook every night. I posted
Is it snook season?
Not necessarily snook season, of course, but it still is very fun to catch them just recreationally. And
I didn't know if you were eating them yet, though.
No, we try to not eat snook.
Really?
Snook are they're delicious, of course. But my family, and especially my dad, he's a little soft. So we generally, my mom cooks wonderful meals, and we have plenty of food. So we're not necessarily bringing food home to eat.
It's understandable. All right, so let's get into the latest with your foundation, Big Man Big Heart.
Yep. So we have some interesting things going on right now. I know we explained the Faith Family Football and Fishing event a few times. We're kind of in an odd time right now. The event was supposed to be on the 30th, and 2 days from now. The event's not going to be on the 30th. There was a small disaster that happened at Joe Budd Youth Conservation. Something that we're trying to, overcome. Basically, the kids' lake that we were going to be fishing at that's overstocked with bass and brim and catfish and all those wonderful things for the kids to fish, ended up having some issues to the point where we can't use that location. We received information about it, a few weeks before we were going to have the event. So luckily we were able to reschedule with all the wonderful people that have stepped up as sponsors, all the wonderful individuals that have stepped up to donate their time and add value to these kids' lives. So we're planning out the event, and hopefully we're making it a little bit bigger for the summertime. And I'm working directly with the FWC, trying to indicate a lake nearby Tallahassee that is, overstocked in a way. So these kids can walk away with a great experience catching their first fish with an FSU football player and an FWC officer. So it is a process, but please give us time. We're trying to indicate the best pond and get everybody back on the same page.
All right, cool. Any other news with Big Man Big Heart? Anything else going on?
Yeah, we're working on some pretty interesting things right now. And some individuals, that are on the dark corners of the earth, and we're getting ready to tell their stories. For me personally, there's going to be, I'm working with GoFundMe directly to put together basically it's like a handoff type event, right? So I'm going to be running a campaign for a month, and then I'm going to hand that off to another student athlete. We're going to rotate it around the country to male and female student athletes that are all going to be participating in this Big Man Big Heart GoFundMe event, where we're basically raising money for organizations that mean something, are significant to us. And I'll be announcing a little bit more of that a little bit later. In the meantime, please look up Operation 300. But I will get a little bit more into that next week when we talk about the podcast. But it's a wonderful group, and that's who I'm going to be supporting during this first month at this event.
Sounds very cool. Anything else? Tell the people they can go to bigmanbigheart.com and find all the GoFundMe information right there if they're looking to donate.
Yeah, check out bigmanbigheart.com. Again, bigmanbigheart _ is our Twitter and our Instagram. My personal Twitter is @GibbonsDillan. If you guys haven't already seen it, or that's not how you got here today, please just consider supporting. Consider just reading into the stories that we put out there through the GoFundMe's. These different individuals and groups that we've helped out so far. I have a strong feeling that if you read even just one of them, that you'll make a personal connection and feel the obligation to help share the story or potentially donate.
Great. I know you got a crazy story that you're going to tell me.
Yep.
You had quite the events occur.
Yeah. So we didn't shoot the pod last week.
Yeah. But let's get into a little football first. We'll save it for the end. We'll save it for the end. Right now, like you said, we didn't record last week. Last week was officially the first week of no spring practice. So where is Florida State football right now in the offseason process?
So Florida State's in a good place, right? And most of the guys are either in the process or have already left Tallahassee. It's pretty interesting, especially when you see guys either go home or stay in Tallahassee. I'm going to be going back and forth a lot just to be able to train here at home and, in a comfortable environment, get some of my studies done and get some work in Big Man Big Heart in my personal life and professional life. But it's interesting to see the guys that make the decision, to stay up there and participate in some of the off-season, optional things we have going on. For me personally, right now, like I said, I'm back home in St. Pete, enjoying my time. I'm giving myself the next couple of weeks off. You really don't get much of a break when you're playing college football, and especially playing it to win some significant football games. But at the end of the day, I'm training extremely hard. Like I said, I'm over at CCC, Clearwater Central Catholic, a wonderful private Catholic school here in the Clearwater, St. Pete, even Mid-Air Beach area, if you really wanted to stretch it that far. But yeah, Chris Harvey's done some amazing things over there. Like I commented earlier, they recently got sponsored by Jordan Brand, one of the only schools in the whole state of Florida that has that kind of honor. But that really is a good indication that they're doing the right things. They're bringing in the right talent from individuals all across the Bay Area. And they are building a hell of a football team. So I look forward to seeing what they're putting together. I've got a close glimpse at a few of their spring practices so far, and they're moving the ball, and the defense is looking pretty stout. So I'm excited to see what their season looks like this year.
Nice. So at this point in the offseason, the coaches are on the road recruiting because it's the evaluation period. So how much contact do you have with Alex Atkins right now?
Not much.
Or do you even need contact with him coming out of spring?
We really don't need much contact. Like the eye in the sky doesn't lie. What we did in spring is kind of in the books. The haze in the barn, whatever we put on film is a good indication of where you're going to start off the summer at and where you're going to be at when we get to fall camp. So Alex Atkins did his job over spring, and we had all the evaluation meetings. I met with Coach Norvell. Every player in our team met with Coach Norvell before we exited campus. Every player in the team met with their position coach. So I had a couple wonderful meetings last week with Coach Norvell and Alex Atkins, and we left it on a really good foot. And I feel bad for him because that he's traveling all around the country right now trying to build up Florida State for the future. But at the same time, there is no rest for the weary, no rest for the wicked. And I know he's doing the right things, and I can't thank him enough for the amount of effort he's put into our program and our football team.
This time of year, if you did need to reach out, do you reach out to his GAs? Do you talk to offensive analysts, or do you just still go to Atkins?
No, I get a text from him every day.
Really?
The contact isn't over. He's texting me, he's texting the group chats. If I needed him, I'd call him and he would answer right away. It doesn't matter where he is, doesn't matter how big the recruit is. He's just that kind of guy. And the same with Coach Norvell too. even though he is in a series of, recruiting and, talking to alumni and the duties of a head coach, if we needed them or we even looking, just to grow as football players and gain some more knowledge, they would be available, 24/7.
That's interesting to know. I was just wondering because I know how busy they are right now. And I
Oh,
was
it's
just
it's
wondering.
crazy. I feel so bad, but at the same time, if I needed something or I had an issue, he'd be there.
Well, we didn't talk last week. So how was your exit interview with Coach Norvell?
Oh, it was wonderful. Again,
How
just
long do
have
those last?
it
Like yours?
depends. It depends what your time slot is. Like for me, mine was just about 30 minutes. I think that they average right around 20 to 30 minutes, something like that. But generally, this is how the process works. In the beginning of the week, we're going to have exit meetings. We get sent out basically a schedule of when Coach Norvell is available. Everyone signs up. Everyone goes to their meetings, shakes your hand. You have a nice day kind of deal. It's an interesting process just because the amount of meetings Coach Norvell has, especially at the end of spring, especially before he gets on the road and, he starts going around the state of Florida trying to raise money for our program. So it was great to be able to have those conversations. You think that a coach would be, worn out, having to talk to that many guys, every player that participated in spring football, but he wasn't, and he was honest, and he actually had a clear evaluation of what my, process has been since I got here day one. To where I am now, as a leader, as a football player in the classroom, off the field. So it was really nice, to hear somebody have that kind of confidence in me, and who I am and what I do, on the field and off the field. So, no negative at all. Just all positive and really looking forward, getting after it for him with the season.
All right. And how do you feel physically right now?
I feel great. I've been moving weight. I've been doing pretty good, especially in the weight room, and my body's feeling good. And at this point, you get in the off season, you get like a day or two home, sitting on the couch, going fishing, doing the things I like to do. And then you start getting a little more anxious, right? You start wondering,
Am I doing
when
enough?
am I going to get back and how can I get better, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been focusing a lot more on the mental imagery and visualization side of my game, right? And that's something I put emphasis into for the past 3 years, right? Since I really started developing into a real football player. I'm blocking dudes 24/7. If I'm at a stoplight, I'm blocking somebody. I'm getting my head across on a deuce block when a linebacker's trying to run through the backside B gap or front side A gap. That's just where I am. I'm developing those quick twitch muscles in my brain, just trying to process information as quick as I possibly can. And that's something that's showing up in my training too. Just not necessarily, just running through the run of the mill workout or the run of the mill, field activities. Putting myself in game-like scenarios, which is hard to do by yourself. But luckily for me, I have my dad and my brother, and I have some wonderful individuals over there at Clearwater Central Catholic that have been helping me through that process.
That's really good. How often do you talk to your teammates? You just left spring practice. So are you in touch with some of the other offensive linemen right now?
Yeah, daily. I was talking to Mo and Darius yesterday. Not for a good reason. Someone was trying to scam us.
You guys?
Someone trying to scam me.
A company or
some individual? I'm not going to expose them right now, but I'm going to find them. I have a whole family of attorneys. They must not know who they're messing with.
Was it a fake NIL deal?
No, someone was pretending to be Maurice Smith.
Oh, wow.
They texted my Big Man Big Heart phone, pretending like they were Mo, asking for money. And again, if one of my players is in trouble financially or needs something, I'd be more than willing to help them out, right? At least have a conversation and, figure out what the issue is. Giving someone money might help a small problem once, but, helping them throughout the situation and, teaching them what I've learned from Notre Dame and from life experience and through name, image, likeness is another thing.
Mm-hmm.
This individual just reached out to me and told me they wanted $45, claiming they were Mo. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. Mo's not going to just text me hey, Dillan, I need money. That's not who he is as a person.
Right.
So I immediately looked at it. The numbers weren't the same from from the phones. So I called Mo and I was like, Mo, do you know who this is? And we were on the phone for an hour just trying to figure out who it was. Ended up going through some different searches and stuff. Finally found the individual's name. And right now I'm in the process of trying to get them to give me their address.
Okay. Do you think he was hacked, or do you think this is
it's a mystery?
Something else.
It's a mystery. It really, really is, because they must know Maurice because they called him Big Reese.
Right. So I wonder, it's an inside job. It's not just somebody hacking his phone from a third world country.
It's at least, some type of personal connection, right? But again, we're in the process of trying to figure it out, and it's just mind-boggling how someone that could try to, especially with all the good that we do through Big Man Big Heart, to contact the Big Man Big Heart phone asking for money, claiming to be one of my teammates. That's over the line, man.
All right. Well, we need an update on that next week on Big Man Big Detective.
No question.
We're going to have to rename the whole podcast.
Yeah, we're going to need to call upon Riley Gibbons, Lynn Gibbons, and Katie Gibbons
Attorneys at law.
figure out the mystery.
All right. And that wasn't the only exciting thing that happened to you. You want to tell the people why we didn't podcast last week?
Yeah, so we kind of...
I shouldn't say exciting. I didn't mean it like that.
A little bit traumatic,
yeah.
Maybe is a better term for it. So bottom line, me and my dad were driving down Gulf Boulevard, and anyone's been out here, Madeira Beach, St. Pete Beach, Reddington. You're driving down Gulf Boulevard headed towards Johns Pass Bridge, and Johns Pass, the Hooters, everything like that, Bubba Gump Shrimp. So we're pulling up, and we're probably a quarter mile out, and we see traffic stopped. So we're getting up a little bit closer to Johns Pass, and there's a VFW right there. And if you've ever driven by Johns Pass or at least live in the area, there's a VFW right before the bridge. Well, apparently an older individual, was going over Johns Pass Bridge, passed out before he got to the top of Johns Pass Bridge, and ended up going full speed right into, I think it's called like a Surf and Sun store.
Mm-hmm.
Took the ramp off that store and flipped his car directly on the hood of two cars, directly in front of the VFW, the front doors of the VFW. So me and my dad, we're driving down, and we kind of saw something, right? But then we see like a cloud of debris. And if anyone's ever walked up on a traumatic accident like that, like, you'll know it. Like there's stuff in the air. It's like I can't tell you what it is. It could just be dust, could be debris, but there's a general kind of fog and aura around it. So me and my dad, and me, we were kind of like the way he brought me up, kind of like a rescue hero almost mindset, that I need to help these people and there's no one else I can do it, especially when you have something like that where you don't really know what's going on. You want to evaluate the situation. So we jumped out of the car, ran across Gulf Boulevard. The traffic was stopped. Got over to the car, and there's a couple other individuals that ran up with us. As it turned out, this guy was driving a brand new like Jeep Grand Cherokee. Nice big car, and it was teetering on the hood of two cars, kind of going back and forth, right? The front of the car was kind of turning this way. So bottom line, I ran up, and my dad was trying to make sure everything was okay. It was a safe situation. The back passenger, or the back front wheel was coming off the hood of the other car. So the car was about to flip completely back over, back on the ground. And at that point, the driver of the vehicle already opened up the door and was trying to get out of the car.
Jeez.
So I kind of quickly analyzed. I had to grab that wheel and pull it down. So me and another individual that popped up from the VFW grabbed the wheel and held the wheel down onto the hood of the car. And my dad grabbed the front of the car and ended up helping the individual out of the car, grabbing the guy and put him in a chair. The guy that came out, he immediately told us that he thinks he passed out, right? And the cops showed up maybe within 2 minminutes of the crash happening, which is a great.
Yeah, there's a lot of police over there.
Great response time. Fire was probably 3 minutes. Like it was crazy how quickly he got there. But he immediately announced that he thought he passed out or something of that nature. Seemed like a really nice older gentleman. Which felt really bad that he found himself in that circumstance. Well, there was a couple freaky things to take away from the accident. If he would have went 3 feet to the right, he probably would have taken out like 45 people, which was pretty traumatic. The other thing was when I was grabbing that wheel and I was pulling it down, and me and my dad ended up walking away once the gentleman was secure with the police and everything. I noticed that there was probably a good 15 guys ended up helping out, which is a great thing, and I can't believe that many people jumped out of their cars on Gulf Boulevard and just random passerbyers came to help the guy. But what was rather startling was the fact that there was probably double that videotaping what was happening and not helping out and not securing the car and not making sure this gentleman was okay, which was disheartening. I didn't like that fact. But the other thing, the third kind of thing I noticed, and something me and my dad, are going to be more careful of, is don't be like me and my dad. Don't just jump out of your car and rush up there. As it turned out, right behind the car was a down power line. He took out a power line, and it was just laying right there on the ground. So as we were walking away, we noticed it, and luckily didn't get anywhere near it. And luckily we didn't touch it or go near it when we jumped underneath of it to go help the guy out in the car. So just be more aware of your situations and your surroundings, and look out for power lines because they might get you. As it turned out, they brought a wrecker crew because we live right down the street. We got to see
everybody was okay, right?
Everyone was okay, no casualties.
Wow.
And from what I heard, the gentleman was in the car is perfectly fine. We got to see kind of the aftermath, right? And as it turned out, the down power line was one of the most, the worst part of the accident as far as the cleanup goes. They ended up shutting down Gulf Boulevard, at least that side, for like 5 or 6 hours that day. So yeah, not a fun experience. But again, just trying to be there for people and help them out. But yeah, I definitely learned a few, key points about society and about, being safe in those type of scenarios.
Right. Jeez. Well, glad everybody made it out okay. That's a wild story.
Yeah, a little freaky. Definitely wake you up and make you thankful for what you have, and hold give everyone you love a hug at night.
Definitely. All right. Before we get out of here, you are almost done with this semester, right? One more class.
Yep. Real estate.
So what have you knocked out already?
I knocked out a rather large paper, about a 25-page paper. I never thought I'd have to write this much in an MBA program. I guess I was mistaken. I whipped out a group like very large group project. We worked on basically all semester. It was like our second capstone project for the course. We whipped that out last week. So I've been studying pretty diligently for this real estate finance exam for the majority of this week, and we're training real hard. So I look forward to getting that under my belt. This weekend, we're going to a Stream Song golf course here in Florida. One of my good friends and family friends, my brother played at USF, Mike Galati. Galati Yachts.
He was an offensive lineman.
Yep. So Mike Galati is one of my brother's best friends. They've stayed connected throughout the years. He's getting married over at Stream Song, and we're gonna go hang out there. Beautiful place, great golf course. And I'm gonna do a little bit of fishing at their bass pond. So of course, should be fun. My fiance's coming into town too, so shout out to Sam for paying that very large ticket to the flight from New York to Tampa, which is crazy nowadays.
Beautiful. Any other shout outs before we end the show?
Yeah, big shout out to Good Sam and Camping World. Again, I can't thank them enough for being with me throughout this process. Like I said, we had some very interesting things planned for the actual Faith Family Football and Fishing event. Because it's been postponed, they've been working with me. I'm trying to make it a little bit bigger. We have some very interesting things coming up here in the next couple of weeks as far as my relationship with Good Sam goes, involving an RV and the Keys. That's all I can say for now. But I look forward to announcing a little bit more of that. Hopefully we can get Josh involved in that. That'd be fun. But yeah, another big shout out to National Truck Protection. They've done a wonderful job in supporting Big Man Big Heart throughout this whole process as well. They actually afforded me the opportunity to bring on a full-time intern over last semester. It was absolutely awesome relationship, and I can't thank everyone enough for being there and being beside Big Man Big Heart. But yeah, I had a great conversation with them last week. We look forward to strengthening our relationship a little bit in the future, and hopefully helping them and help me grow a little bit more.
All right, Dylan. Well, thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing, and we will see you next week.
I appreciate you, Josh. You have a wonderful week.
You too. Go Noles.